Hey, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Mama Pies Before the Lesson podcast. I'm your host, Carlos Smiley. Now, on last week, we heard the author tell us through the book of Psalms that the God of creation has our back. That regardless of what we see in the natural, regardless of how weak we may become in our bodies, God is our refuge and our strength. He's a very present help in times of trouble. God is in the midst of it all, and he shall not be moved. Now, regardless of what the Roman emperors thought that they were doing, regardless of what today's world powers think they are doing, Proverbs 21 reassures us that the heart of the king is in the hand of the Lord. And like the rivers of water, he turns it whithersoever he chooses. Now, every way of a man is right in his own eyes. But the Lord weighs the hearts. On Sunday, the title of the lesson is Faith is Endurance. Scriptural basis of our lesson is out of Hebrews chapter 12. So today, I don't have the question that I would normally have, which was how did we get from there to here? Because way down in my sanctified soul, thank you, B.A., I already know. I know because just like the Reverend and Congressman Adam Clayton Powell admonished Black America back in the heat of the Civil Rights era, the author of Hebrews is telling us the same thing, which is to keep the faith, baby. Just keep the faith. God never promised us the road would be easy. He just assured us that we will win in the end. And I'll be very honest with you. I've learned that when you reach the point at which your faith outweighs your fears, then we're released. We're released to move and to operate more fully in our purpose. So hopefully, after today's conversation, we'll better understand what our biblical heroes were dealing with and going through. So if you like what you hear, click the button below and subscribe to our channel. Now let's dig into this thing and see can't we figure it out. This week, we continue in the epistle of Hebrews, growing in the perseverance, the assurance, and now the endurance of what Christians had to go through back in Rome, and what we, as a people, have to grow through in this present danger that we live in today. As we outlined on last week, to put it frankly, the Emperor Nero was crazy. The things that he did to the Christians were despicable. It shook them to their core, and it made them want to revert back to a less threatening religion and way of life, back to their Mosaic law. And this was done for their survival. They felt that they needed to go along to get along. But the author was reminding them of how their ancestors had come this far by faith. They may not have lived the good life on earth, but they received the good report in heaven. The stuff that they went through, think about it, the slavery, the wilderness wanderings, the wars, the captivity. Now, enduring those things paved the way for their descendants to reach a time when God would send his son Jesus to bridge that sin gap and to give mankind through faith, a foolproof chance at redemption and eternal life. Jesus allowed mankind to unilaterally take responsibility for their own actions and to ultimately, independent of leadership's sinful rule, set their own course towards eternal life. By faith, Abel offered unto God a more excellent sacrifice than Cain, so Cain killed him. By faith, Noah, being warned of God of things not seen as yet, moved with fear, prepared an ark to the saving of his house. But he was mocked and ridiculed the entire time. By faith, Abraham left his home in Ur and traveled to a promised place, not knowing where he was going. Hebrews 11 tells us that these all died in faith, not having received the promises, but having seen them afar off, and were persuaded of them, and embraced them, and confessed that they were strangers and pilgrims on this earth. But now they desire a better country, that is, an heavenly. Wherefore God is not ashamed to be called their God, for he has prepared for them a city. Wow. There were multiple acts of faith throughout the scriptures in both the Old and the New Testament. Y'all remember, faith is the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. Both Samson and David conquered lions in their faith walk. Daniel, he just stared them down, and God sent angels to shut the mouths of the lions. This is what happens when your faith outweighs your fears. Faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. There were Daniel's three buddies, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego. They refused to worship Nebuchadnezzar's image while in captivity, that being in slavery in Babylon. They told him that we only worship the one true God. Nebuchadnezzar had them bound and thrown into the fiery furnace, but the fire couldn't consume them. And when he looked back in the furnace, he saw not 3, but 4 men, all walking around unharmed. And the fourth one was a radiant being. And he said, he looks like the Son of God. Faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. There was a prophet Elijah who cried unto the Lord on behalf of a mother whose child had died. And the Lord heard his cry, and the child lived again. That's faith, the substance of things hoped for, the evidence of things unseen. You see, God spoke well of all of these people and their work. Their work was received of God because they trusted in him and in his promise. Yet none of them received, during their lifetime on earth, what God had promised. God gave honor to the biblical Hall of Famers. God didn't forget those who faithfully served him. They are all now safe with the Lord. Now they received a lot of good things. They received them while they were on earth from God, but they didn't receive all that God had promised while they lived on earth. There is something more which is yet to come for them and for us. God has planned something better, which will include us. Everybody that belongs to Jesus will have a share in God's plan. He hasn't told us what that plan is in detail, but we know that in his plan, he will make perfect all of us who know Jesus, together with all of the heroes of faith. So on Sunday, knowing that we are compassed about with so great a cloud of witnesses, our mamas, our daddies, our brothers, our sisters, our friends, let us lay aside every weight and the sin which does so easily beset us, and let us run with patience the race that is set before us, looking unto Jesus, the author and the finisher of our faith, who for the joy that was set before him endured the cross, despising the shame, and is set down at the right hand of the throne of God. You see, we've got to understand and accept the fact that for whom the Lord loves, he chastens and scourges every son whom he receives. He says, if ye endure the chastening, God deals with you as with sons. For what son is he whom the Father doesn't chasten? But if ye be without chastisement, whereof all are partakers, then are ye bastards and not sons. For God's sake, we're going to have to endure some things on this earth. Things like being lied on, talked about, mistreated, health issues, family issues, work issues, race issues, and the list goes on and on and on. Disparate treatment on so many different levels. But as a good congressman back in the civil rights era admonished us to do, we just got to keep the faith, baby. Hey, we're looking forward to next week's lesson as we go back in and dig a little deeper here on the Before the Lesson podcast. Remember to subscribe to our Mama Pie's Sunday School class on the YouTube channel. And until next time, be blessed.
Here we go! Whether it's in the court